is up, everybody? It is JT coming at you with episode 8 of the Raidercast, your podcast for everything silver and black. And today, I have my 53-man roster and practice squad predictions for the upcoming season. So today is the Friday, August the... I don't know what today is. I think August 12th, maybe, or August 13th. I'm not sure, whichever the one. But it is the day, a few days before we have our game on Sunday, and it's been a week since the Hall of Fame game, which was really exciting to see. And I'm actually making this video a week ago, but I'm posting it now just so I have, stuff going while I'm on the cruise, as you guys know. But I wanted to get this video out there before we actually start to see roster cuts, because after the first preseason game, like the first official one, that's when we start seeing roster cuts. So I wanted to get it out before that. Yeah, so let's just get right into it. The first part of it is pretty simple in terms of who was going to be quarterbacks: Derek Carr, Jarrett Stidham. That was pretty obvious going into the season, in my opinion, before we traded for Jarrett Stidham. But after we traded for him, I'm like, this is it. He's quarterback 2 unless somehow he sucks. But he didn't. He looked really good in the Hall of Fame game. He was really solid. So he's obviously got the QB2 spot. And Derek Carr is obviously QB1. The backfield, I actually looked at what the Patriots did last year, what we have on the roster, and 6 people in the backfield seems like a lot. But I actually did mine originally without Kenyon Drake, which was surprising to me, but I couldn't pick anyone else over him. I know I put Amir as 2. That's not really supposed to, it's not super in order like it's supposed to be, but it's realistically Zamir White is number 2, but whatever. Amir definitely has a roster spot, so I was like, I don't know if Kenyon's going to have a roster spot. But then I only had 52 left. So I was like, I can add Kenyon Drake back, because the Patriots last year ran 5 running backs plus Jakob as a fullback, so it was very much easy to put Kenyon Drake in. He won't have a lot of carries. He'll have a lot more of out of the backfield. He'll catch a lot. Brandon Bolden, same way. Zamir White, Josh Jacobs will be the pounding the rock. Amir Abdullah might do the same. Brandon Bolden has that ability too. Kenyon Drake not so much as the others. He's much more better in the pass game, so he'll definitely be used in that sense, but otherwise I don't see him being used super a lot, which is why he's lower. Amir should be 4th, and then Brandon Bolden and Zamir White are like with Josh Jacobs 1, 2, 3. Tight ends: Darren Waller, Foster Moreau, and Jacob Hollister. Obviously my player to watch for tight ends was Jesper Horsted, but we'll get to him later. Darren Waller, Foster Moreau, and then Jacob Hollister was pretty easy to choose for me. Makes the most sense for me. Hollister looked pretty solid. He's just been solid his whole career, so that's why I chose him. And then the other 2 were pretty obvious for me. Moving on to wide receivers, I have 6 wide receivers. I don't think we cut any of our wide receivers, especially Matt Collins and Demarcus Robinson can be used very good as pass blockers, and D-Rob looks very solid in the special teams. So same thing with Tyron Johnson. The bottom 3 can all contribute there. Same thing with Keelan Cole. Devontae Adams, obviously number 1. Hunter Renfrow is great in the slot. He's our punt returner, which I hope doesn't stay permanent. But they all, underneath them, can contribute in other facets. They're all very multi-talented wide receivers. Keelan Cole's the most reliable. That's why I have him as 2, even though Hunter Renfrow is technically 2, but he's more of the slot, so that's why I have him as 3. Whatever. Tyron Johnson is going to be our deep threat, as long as he can get that, ball catching better. Matt Collins, I like Matt Collins a lot. Demarcus Robinson he's been kind of like falling under the radar for me, but I can't see us getting rid of him just because he has that potency to be a threat. He didn't show it a lot in Kansas City, but he has that ability to be a threat. Moving on to our O-line, this was pretty easy to do after the Hall of Fame game. You might notice a key name missing and replaced by someone you might not know. But I have Cole Miller at left tackle, John Simpson's left guard, Andre James center, Lester Cotton Sr. at right guard, Alex Leatherwood at right tackle, and then for the backups I have Jermaine Illuminor, Dylan Parham, and Jackson Barton. Jackson Barton, you're like, who the hell is that? He actually played really well in the Hall of Fame game. He was on the Raiders last year. He was between being on the roster and practice squad. I can't, I'm like trying to manifest Brandon Parker being cut at this point because he's just not good. I think Jackson Bartone played better than Brandon Parker did yesterday. He had a better pass block grade, he had a better run block grade. He was just the better tackle. Everyone played better than Brandon Parker on the O-line, so he's easily the weakest link. I'd rather have Jackson Bartone be the swing tackle than Brandon Parker, but that's just me. Dylan Barham is an easy one just because he can play center, he can play the both guard positions, and Jermaine can play pretty much anywhere but center on the line. He's really flexible. That's why I have both of them there. Yeah, I mean, I thought the O-line is pretty set at this point, in my opinion. In terms of right tackle, that's like our weak point, but we'll definitely add some tight ends to help them out on the right side. Looking at the defensive ends / edge rushers, we have Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, Malcolm Kuntz, Cleveland Ferrell, and Jerry Green, which you might be surprised by, but I think he has a chance. Honestly, it's between him and Deshaun Bauer for that 5th spot. I chose Jerry Green. I don't know, just because I want to see him actually get some starting roles. It'll probably be Deshaun Bauer as the 5th guy, but, I want to spice it up a little bit. I think he looked pretty solid in the Hall of Fame game. Him and Kuntz. Ferrell was injured, or he was off. I don't know. He's probably injured, but nothing serious. But he'll definitely be a roster spot. People are like, oh, he's going to get cut. No, we're not wasting $10 million to have a guy not play for us on his last year of his contract. And plus, if he does go somewhere else next season, I'm pretty sure we get a comp pick, which would be pretty dope. So there's no point in cutting him. Same thing with Jacob. People are like, oh, let's trade him now. Shut up. Anyway, yeah, that's where my edges. It looks pretty solid. I wish Fackrell was here. They have been a lot better room, but he's not. Unfortunately, he's on IR for the rest of the season. Hopefully he heals up, but it's not looking too bad. People are like kind of worried, but I think Kuntz and Ferrell and Green or Bauer, whoever actually ends up getting that last spot, will step up enough to be solid as backups for Crosby and Jones. And then looking defensive tackle at Bilal Nichols, Andrew Billings, Matthew Butler, Neil Farrell Jr., and Kendall Vickers. So the reason why I have Bilal here and not Hankins is because if you look at the depth chart that they posted, the ones in brackets are on the PUP list. So you have Trayvon Mullen, you have Dylan Stoner, you have Jonathan Hankins, and Bilal Nichols. Bilal Nichols, despite being on the PUP list, was starter. The others were deep on the depth chart. So that shows me that they have so much confidence in Bilal Nichols being a starter. Even though he's on the PUP list, he's still starting. Like, they have that much confidence in him. I put Andrew Billings number 2 because he looked Hall of Fame worthy. Hall of Fame worthy. Wow. Words. He looks solid at the Hall of Fame game. Matthew Butler, Neil Farrell. Neil Farrell is our nose tackle. That's supposed to be Jonathan Hankins' job, I believe, or someone. But he's obviously hurt. I think he might get either cut or he's going to get stashed on the PUP list, something like that. Kendall Vickers did pretty decent. I think he showed up enough. Again, it's probably going to be between him and Tyler Lancaster for the last spot. I chose Vickers. Again, just to spice it up. Could I see Lancaster here and then Vickers on the practice squad? Absolutely. But yeah, let's see what happens here. Actually, I meant to put Tyler Lancaster here because I have Vickers on the practice squad. This is supposed to be Tyler Lancaster, so forget this is even happening. It's supposed to be Tyler Lancaster. So yeah. Linebackers, Denzel Perryman, Divine Diablo, Jayon Brown, Kenny Young, Darian Butler. Darian Butler looked meh in the Hall of Fame game, but as long as he can get his tackling better, he should be fine. I looked at the Patriots last year. I mean, it's not the same defense at all because it's not the McDaniel side of the ball anymore. But they carried 5, and I feel like that makes sense to have 5 linebackers, especially in 3-4, 4-3. You need linebackers. And they are all very solid linebackers. Our starting 3 is very good. Kenny Young's a solid linebacker, and Darian Butler is a pretty surprising roster spot here, but I think he could do it. Looking at the cornerbacks, I have Rocky Sin, Anthony Averett, Nate Hobbs, Trayvon Mullen with an asterisk, and Darius Phillips and Amik Robertson. I have 6 here. That's a lot, but I think they'll all be used. Amik Robertson will probably be a specialist. Darius Phillips will be a special teamer. Trayvon Mullen has a star next to him because we don't know if he's even going to come back. He's very deep on the depth chart, despite being in the PUP list. And I talked about that already with Bilal. That shows me that they don't aren't sure what they have in Trayvon right now, and so they're not sure if he can actually either they're not sure about his injury because he got injured twice last season, and B, they're not sure about his ability because otherwise they would have him higher on the roster like they have Bilal Nichols. So I'm not sure about Mullen's future right now. I wouldn't be surprised if that he is hurt for a while. He's just stashed either on the IR or PUP list or just cut because this is last year, I'm pretty sure. And if that happens, we'll have one of the practice squad guys I have on there come up, or we'll just, switch it around. I'm not sure. That was the hardest part, was if Trayvon plays. At this point, it's very worrisome that he might not, but we'll see. Safeties. I have Trayvon Murray, Duron Harmon, Jonathan Abram, and Tyree Gillespie. Teamer's been injured because of Abram hurting him. I don't think he's not going to be in the squad. It's between him and Gillespie for the last spot. I think Gillespie has it over him. He looked very solid in the Hall of Fame game, very hard hitting. I was rooting for him last year. He looked okay last year. I think he made enough improvements this season to get that final roster spot in the safety position. And then for the special teams, I would say AJ Cole, Daniel Carlson, and Trent Sieg are the most obvious. There's no way we don't have them as our trio. And then looking at the practice squad, I have... let me move my camera a little bit. Give me 1 second. So I can actually see everyone. There we go. All right. So I have Bam, Alasini, Thayer Munford, Haranis Grasu, Chase Garbers, Britton Brown, DJ Turner, Jordan BC, and Jesper Horsted as our practice squad offense. As you see, Jesper Horsted's there. I think he'll definitely be on the practice squad over Nick Bowers. I think he just has more ability to be put on the roster and have an impact rather than Bowers. The 3-0 line I feel like are pretty easy to do because Grasu can come up, say John Simpson gets hurt and Andre James, or something like that, something awful like that. Obviously Parham can't play both center and guard, and if we really need that extra center, or Parham's not working out or whatever, he can play center. He's a guard. Munford and Bam are just insurance at this point for tackles, because our tackles don't look super great outside of Miller, obviously. And then you have Chase Garbers as QB3. You have over Nick Mullins, which I know people will be surprised by, but I think Garbers will have a better understanding of the offense than Nick Mullins. I have Britton Brown as our running back 6 at this point. DJ Turner and Jordan VC as our practice squad wide receivers. Moving on to the defense, I kind of split it up evenly, even though I didn't really mean to, but it was kind of nice to do it evenly. Zach Von Valkenburg, Tashawn Bauer as our 2 backup defensive ends, Luke Masterson as our backup linebacker, who I thought looked really good in the Hall of Fame game. You have Kendall Vickers, who looked really good. Again, he's here, so it's supposed to be Tyler Lancaster starting, Kendall Vickers practice squad. Chris Jones, Ike Brown as our backups corners, and then Roderick Teamer and Matthias Farley as our backup safeties. Teamer and Matthias Farley, I think, are both our strong safeties, but I think Farley can play the free safety role if he really needed to. But for some reason, he has to come all the way up to free safety starter. But I think he's a solid depth, vet guy. He looked really good in the Hall of Fame game as well. But yeah, that's my 53-man roster. I think that they look really solid. I think it's going to be a pretty good roster. I'm not too worried about, depth or anything like that. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I hope you guys are enjoying the week of training camp news and stuff like that. I'm really excited for the game against the Vikings this Sunday. I hope you all have an absolutely wonderful day, and peace out, Raider Nation.